you really can't be a business owner, and especially an online business owner in today's world,
Yeah.
without using Instagram,
Yeah.
TikTok, Facebook.
Yeah. And it's
Like,
so much.
Hey, friend, welcome to the Ready to Rise podcast with your host, me, Audrey Rose. This is the podcast all about taking your life to the next level. Join me on my journey as I create a life that I'm obsessed to wake up for every day. I hope that you are ready to create a life that you really, really love. Are you ready to rise?
You guys are about to hear from a dear friend of mine, Courtney, who has been on the podcast, I think, a couple of times now. And I just love her. Love her energy, love her vibe. Met her at Empower Her 2022. And she's just such an amazing woman who's also undergone a few different life pivots. And at the time of this recording, she was pregnant with her second child, who has now been born and is such a light. That was a whole story she shares on her Instagram page where it got a little crazy for a minute. Motherhood is just a crazy ride, as I can not relate to personally, but as I can see. And so it's been amazing having her on and talking about these things, talking about life as an entrepreneur, as a mom, as somebody who's about to have a second child. It's really intense, and life gives us all these ups and downs for a reason, right? And just hearing from her how she's dealing with it and what she's up to gives me so much for myself, so much inspiration and all of the good things. So you guys are going to love this episode with Courtney. I'll link her Instagram in the show notes and enjoy. And
that's the thing though, like there's always, and I don't mean it to
Yes.
be a negative thing, but there's always something.
Yeah. And that's a perfect segue into talking, starting a conversation about
Yeah.
burnout too. It's
Yep.
just, yeah. So life is always crazy, right? It's just so much. And right now I'm going through a bunch of family stuff, and it's just like exactly what you just said off air. Like it's never going to slow down. You're
I
pregnant
know.
with your second.
I know. Holy crap.
It's crazy.
Holy crap. And particularly, like, I love the whole evolution of like when I met you for the first time, I was pregnant, but I didn't
Yeah.
know it. And like
I
now I'm about to have the baby. Like, what the heck?
It's so crazy.
But I just had a situation happen too this week where, so I'm 38-ish days out from
Yeah,
popping this guy
so
out.
exciting.
And like all these other things are happening, right? Like my son is getting ready to graduate preschool. He started baseball practice.
Wow.
My husband does softball. I obviously have my business and do my podcast. Like
Yeah. Yeah.
there's, if to sit around and be like, well, I'll wait for when,
Yeah.
then something unexpected, like, a family member going into
Right.
hospice or a medical
Yeah.
situation
Hmm.
is inevitably going to come up. And I don't mean
Yeah.
that to be like a negative Nancy.
Yeah. Totally. But it does. It just
Yeah.
happens.
Yeah.
So I think I would love to hear what you think, because you're pivoting. Are you starting to do like coaching, business coaching type stuff now?
Yeah,
Can we
I
talk
I
about it?
I think, yes, I think that
Okay.
this is real,
Okay.
right? Like where we're
Yeah.
like, I think I'm meant to do something different, but I don't know
Yeah.
exactly what that is, right? Because I've done the social media thing for over a year now,
Yeah.
and I've been so, I mean, I have one-on-one client who's like, I mean, I get $1,000 a month
Yeah.
consistently that I can rely on. Like that's a big
It's
deal.
huge. Yeah.
So it's one of those things where it's like, I don't know that I want to fully go away from that yet
Right.
because I'm good at it. I like it. I can make money from it.
Yeah.
But in the same sense, like helping women who are entrepreneurial or want to be entrepreneurial, helping
Yeah.
them with some of the mindset and business stuff
Hmm.
is very appealing to me.
Yeah.
And
Yeah. Because
I almost feel like this period of time where I'm going to be forced to step back because of a baby will hopefully give me clarity on which of these two directions I want to
oh,
lean more
that's
into.
awesome. Yeah, because I'm talking to you as if that's already what you're doing. I was like just gonna ask you a minute
Yeah.
ago, well, what do you tell your clients to do how to like prevent burnout? But like honestly, it's such a big deal, even with social media management, even with any part of these types of jobs, like this, you can go down. Okay, if we even talk about social media management for a minute, like
Hmm.
you can sit on Canva for hours and hours and hours, and like that can be part of your job, right? However, there's so much more that goes into all of these aspects, and it's like you can easily burn yourself out. So I'm super curious, like what your tips are for people to like not get burned out in business even.
Yeah. I think so. This is very ironic that this is coming up because on Tuesday, so a couple days ago, as we're recording this, um, I was going to give like a training on social media in a group program that I'm in called Emotional Leadership, how to be great emotional leaders in our businesses and our
That's cool.
families. I asked these people who were in the program what specifically about social media they wanted to hear about. Number one thing was how to avoid burnout on social media.
Wow. Good.
Like, what can we do to like streamline our time and avoid being
Yeah.
burnout? But then here's the best part is it's like I'm supposed to give this at noon on Tuesday. And I literally go into this place of like, I don't want to say a medical emergency, right? And especially like with someone in the medical field. But like my blood pressure spiked. I started to have a little
Well,
bit of an anxiety
yeah.
attack.
Yeah.
I
I
started to feel
mean,
lightheaded.
that's a
I
big
find
deal.
myself having to cancel the thing on social media
Oh,
burnout
shit.
so I could go to labor and delivery and like just make sure I'm okay.
Yeah. Yes.
So
I
in
mean,
saying
I
all of
feel
that,
like that's a bit of a medical emergency.
right?
Yeah, that's a thing.
Yeah. But what's funny, so I had put together these tips and the thing is that even though some of these tips are specific for social media,
Mhm.
is that you really can't be a business owner and especially an online business owner in today's world
Yeah.
without using Instagram,
Yeah.
TikTok, Facebook.
Yeah. And it's
Like,
so much. Honestly, I'm putting together my Kajabi site right now, and it's like literally Pinterest, TikTok, Facebook, Instagram. What's your YouTube channel? What's your this? What's your that? And I was like, oh God, oh no, I have to create a YouTube. I have to create a TikTok. I have to create this. And it's like, slow down, girl.
yeah, I was gonna say, do like when you take a step back,
Like,
do you realize you do not need to create all of
right,
those?
exactly. But I'm like, I have to fill in all the bubbles, but it's like you really don't.
Yes. But I totally feel the pressure. Like
Mhm.
I've been hearing lots of talk lately about how make a decision to be on either Pinterest or YouTube.
Oh, I
Or
like
was
that.
that one of them? Yeah, those were the two, Pinterest or YouTube, because both of those act more so as search engines than as social
Cool.
media,
Yeah.
which
Yeah.
is
Yeah.
so true. But then again, so I'm like, okay, so
Yeah.
I literally put it on my list for during my maternity leave
Right.
to
I have to during maternity leave list. Hold on.
I
Right?
do. I have a maternity
Mm.
leave list. Um, but that's a whole mindset thing too that I need to be like, okay, if I find myself
Mhm.
bored or looking to like be creative and get into work, I'll do something like that.
Yeah.
But if I find myself exhausted and overwhelmed
Yeah.
from motherhood, then just let myself be
I
with
love that.
it, you
I
know?
love that. What you just said is I think what a lot of people are not doing because we feel the pressure, like you also just said, of needing to go, go, go.
Mhm.
So we're not letting ourselves rest. Even like I, like when I talk about burnout, that's such a big part of like recognizing that you're burned out is like you don't want to do the daily activities that bring you joy. And it's like I do it all the time. Like, no, I need to
Yeah.
work. I need to do this. I need to do that. I don't want to go to the beach and like enjoy myself.
Yeah. Yeah. No, that's so
Like,
true. I'm sure that you know this, but I just heard this on like, oh, it's because I'm reading the book called Burnout. Have you read that book?
yes,
Okay.
yes.
I just started it.
Awesome.
And I read in there that like it's only been recently that that term even existed.
Hmm. Hmm.
And I was like, that's fascinating
Uh-huh.
and also kind of depressing
Yeah, yeah, super depressing.
that we had to make up this word
Mhm.
for, and a lot of that. It's actually really ironic. Like I just started that book and then like that
I
you and me
love
really
it.
didn't know what we were
I
going to
love
talk
it.
about, right? It's really good. And I'm only like maybe a fourth of the way through it, but
Nice.
they talk in there about how burnout came from when people were working traditional, like corporate 9 to 5 jobs,
Mhm.
and then specifically also trying to take care of the home,
Yeah.
and how like that literally isn't meant for somebody to do both of those things full time.
Yeah, it's not. And everything changed. Like I know that this is a very like feminist type,
Yeah.
idea, but like the thing is, it all changed and it's so much. And I'm like, why did you guys do that to us? I just want to go back. Like, I mean, and it can get really political and I don't want to go down like that kind of road, but I do feel like everything changed. And why? Like, why? Because
Well,
it's
and
way too much. It's
it
way too
is.
much to do all of it. I literally am scheduling my vacuuming. I literally did that yesterday. I'm like, literally in my schedule, I wrote when I'm going to vacuum. And it's so frustrating because I truly don't have time. I'm like, if I just let myself do whatever I want to do or, you know, work, I could work all day long or whatever it is. Right. And it's like, there's no time to do anything else.
Mhm. I think I love too that we are, not that this was intentional, but that we're having this
Mhm.
conversation as
Yeah.
me, somebody who is a mother, and you,
Yeah.
somebody who is not a mother.
Hmm.
Because, and this is one of the
Yeah.
reasons
That's
that I
so
think,
cool.
this is one of the reasons I think people are drawn to me is because I have such compassion for women who aren't yet mothers or even never want to be a mom.
Yeah.
Because I still believe that you're allowed to be busy, you're
Yep.
allowed to be tired. And I think
Mhm.
sometimes there's this mom mentality for like, well, I've got two
Yeah.
little ones and you don't, so you don't
Yeah.
even know.
Yeah.
Like,
100%.
that's not how I'm coming at you. Like, I
Yeah.
feel that you had, I'm not like, what the heck? You can't find time to vacuum? You don't have
Yeah,
kids.
right. Right. And so, and then on the flip side, I was just talking about this morning, like for those of you that have kids, how the heck do you have time to like have a kid? Like,
Yeah.
what? And I think that that's why so many people in society nowadays are starting to choose not to have kids. Like for me
Hmm.
personally, I'm like, whoa, I don't know if I want kids. I don't know where I want to be a great mother. Like I want to
Yeah.
be intentional with my children if I have them, and I don't know where that time would come from. And
Hmm.
that's scary.
And
And
that
that's crazy.
it really makes me sad that, being somebody who is a mom, enjoys being a mom, but also
Mhm.
very much is open about how hard it is.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, it makes me sad that the one and possibly only reason that somebody, you or someone else,
Mhm.
would choose to not have a child is because they're like, I think it's going to take up too much time.
Mhm. Yeah.
That breaks
It's
my heart.
yeah. Isn't that so sad? And that's just because like society is training us, you have to be, I don't know where this came from, but this mentality that you have to be like good at everything and do everything. So it's
Hmm.
like, I love that you've heard me say it before. Like, I love the brownie analogy, like buying the store-bought brownies versus making your own from this, staying up till 4 a.m., making your own brownies for the bake sale. And it's like, we shouldn't have to feel like that. We shouldn't have
Yeah.
to feel like we have to do it all and that we have to be good at it all. Like it's okay to take messy action. It's okay to do the things that you really want to do by maybe cutting back on some of the other stuff and maybe not picking up all the overtime shifts or making the homemade brownies or whatever it is.
Hmm.
Like you
Yeah.
have to kind of change, whatever, like balance it all out. Like it has to somehow balance out. Otherwise, you're not going to be happy.
Yeah. And this literally just came out of nowhere when you were talking about that. But when I had my first son, Chase, 5 years ago, I remember being like, I'm going to make all
Yeah.
his baby food. Like, I'm
Yeah.
going to make it. Do
Yeah.
you know how stressful it was to find the time to
Oh,
do
I
that?
bet. Yeah.
And I gave up after like a month.
Yeah,
And
I'm
I'm not
sure.
saying that that's amazing for the women who can and or really make that a priority.
Yeah.
But for me, I was just like that it was the brownie thing. When you said that about the
Yeah.
brownies, that made me think
Yeah.
of it. Like he's not going to die by eating something that comes out of a package.
Right. Right. Yeah. And
Right.
you
And
can
like,
buy sustainable foods that are already
yeah,
made.
yeah, yeah. And so like, I'm not even gonna try.
Yeah. I know. I think about that too. Like I used to like think about like, what if I had a kid, cloth diapers and making my own, food and this and that. And then making my own dog food for my dog. And like, let's all be just so perfect. And life is not that way. You
Yeah.
cannot do
Mm,
it. Not
yeah.
with everything else.
I feel like the only way to do that is with a major surplus of
Mhm.
like financial
Yeah.
abundance or help,
Yeah.
or you know what I
And
mean?
help and support. And I think that's another, like, I would love to go into that segue of like support and help because, like, you have a very supportive partner who's helping
Yeah.
you raise two children or about to be two children
Yeah.
and, work on your business and do all of that. And I think it's really important to highlight that, like, burnout can be somewhat prevented by having an amazing support system and not being afraid to
Yes.
use it.
Ooh, that's good. Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, and not like, I feel weird sometimes when I talk about it because
Yeah.
I don't ever want somebody who doesn't have that to feel like I'm like shoving it in their face.
Uh-huh.
Because the other aspect of not only my husband is our in-laws or my
Mm,
in-laws, they're so helpful.
nice.
And it's funny because we didn't really realize how helpful they were until we had a child.
Yeah.
And it was just like, it's the accepting of the help, right?
Yes.
Because I think that there's this category of people that they do have the friends or the family, they just don't utilize them.
Yeah.
And for that,
Yeah.
God, I mean, I feel for you, but at the same time, like, just experience, like, for us, what it's looked like really since about COVID is when it started. Um, our son doing regular sleepovers at grandma and grandpa's house, and
Nice.
us having multiple nights a month with child free.
Yeah.
I mean,
And you
it's
also think of it
amazing.
like I have a coworker who I've been talking about this recently with, and it's like, I was like, you know what, also though, think of it from grandma and grandma's perspective. Like they get this quality time with their grandkid. That's super important too.
Yeah, that's an amazing
Hmm.
point. Um, the other thing that I started to utilize was a neighbor friend.
Oh,
She has
awesome.
a boy who's 1 year older than Chase.
Oh, perfect.
Actually, I actually have two neighbors. One, their child's a little older, one, their child's a little younger. And like just this week, the one family, they have twins. They're getting a new house. And she was like, we'd really just like to go and like the day we get the keys, like just go without
Yeah.
the kids and kind of
Yeah.
plan like where all the furniture's gonna go and like blah blah blah.
Yeah.
So I'm like, yes, bring the kids over. I will feed them dinner. We will play.
Perfect.
You go look at your house with your husband like
Hmm.
alone and
Yeah.
for like an hour and a half,
Oh, yeah.
you know.
Totally.
And then like they picked their twins up later. And like as she was leaving, she's like, let me know when we can return the favor.
Yep.
And
That's
here's the thing,
awesome.
like, you bet, like, I will.
Yeah.
I will in the next couple of weeks text
Yeah.
her and be like, can
Yeah.
Chase come over and play because of XYZ?
Yeah.
And I
Yep.
just think that we feel in general, I think it's a big thing with women. I think it's a big thing with women who are entrepreneurial,
Yeah.
ambitious, that we don't want to accept
Yeah.
that help.
For some reason, there's like a little bit of shame involved of like, I can't do it all. And I think that that should become normalized that we
Mm-hmm.
cannot do it all. Like, obviously, hello, like we cannot do it all. Like,
Yeah.
why
Yeah.
would you want to?
Yeah. What part of nursing do you work in? Like what?
So I float. I do adults and I float around the hospital. I was lead of our COVID floor for the last almost 3 years.
Oh,
And that's where my big burnout came from. That was
yeah.
really freaking hard. Um, Not even just like from the impact perspective of as far as like the numbers necessarily in California, but I guess it is the impact of like what one patient's impact can have on you, of like what you're seeing. It's like horrendous. Like I hope that we never have to experience that again as a country. That was horrible. Um but yeah, so now I'm back to doing floating. So I float all over the hospital, which actually I have to say it's different, but it also helps to reduce my burnout a little bit because I'm constantly moving around. I'm not
Mm-hmm.
stuck on the same units with the same people and that kind of thing. So that helps. But yeah, it's a lot. And I know for a fact, like, I burned myself out so bad during COVID just because I picked up way too much overtime. I did that whole thing. Like, I have to be the one that's there. Like, I'm the one that knows all these answers. And because I'm there full time, I was one of the people that was always there full time. And there were a couple of us that just, we relied on each other. We texted each other every day, called each other from home every day. Like, how do you do this? Or what's up with this patient? Or I didn't get anything about that in report or that kind of stuff. And it was like constant.
Did you at that time feel an obligation to be somebody who stepped up because you didn't have a family and or kids? And so you're like, I need
Yeah.
to be the one who's, yeah.
Totally. And my family, like nothing wrong with them at all for this, but they were all very nervous. Like, what is this COVID thing? What is this all about? And I got like practically disowned during that time frame. Like we did a lot of Zoom and stuff like that, but like again, like it's not their fault. Everybody reacted a lot like this, where it was just like, you're in the healthcare field. I'm sorry. I love you so much, but I cannot be near you. And
Yeah.
then I also distanced myself from like my older relatives and stuff like that. Like I literally would go to my grandma's occasionally and like wave to her from her driveway and just blow her
Oh,
kisses. And it's like, but I was like, I would feel devastated if I brought you this virus, you know, I would feel horrible. Um, yeah, so it was very isolating already, but then that was also a catalyst for like working more.
I was just gonna say I feel like isolation and burnout
Mhm.
go
Mhm.
hand in hand.
Yes, because you know what? If you're not already isolated, causing you to work more and do more things because you're like what you just said, you know, like, oh, I was single at the time. I just had my dog and I was like, I'll just work all the time. I'm living by myself, you know, why not just work? You know, they need help and I can offer it. And then, but also at the same time, then when you get really burnt out, the cycle continues back the other way, where you're so burned out that you want to isolate yourself because you just want to
Mm-hmm.
binge watch TV, lay in bed all
That's true.
day. Yeah. And that's what happened to me. It was like exactly that cycle. And then when it was like a day off or even a week off on occasion, I would like not go do the things that made me feel better. I would totally just like lay in bed, sleep in, binge watch TV, and that makes it worse.
Mm-hmm. So it's like a cycle that you can't get out of.
Yeah, it's so I call it like the like I because we refer to it so much with healthcare, but so I call it like a healthcare hamster wheel, basically. It's just like that cycle that you cannot stop repeating. But I see it all the time with people who aren't even in healthcare. Like burnout is like so widespread that so many people are doing it. And I'm sure, like you've been saying with like motherhood too, it's like if you're not utilizing the help that you can get and the resources
Mhm.
you can get, you're also just repeating that cycle.
Yeah. And I think that with, well, this might even happen with your work. Like for me, particularly when I choose not to have help and or take breaks from my son or what have you, it causes some resentment to come up. I have resentment
Yeah.
towards him. And I
Yeah.
can imagine the same like resentment towards your job or resentment
Uh-huh.
towards the patients.
Yeah. Or it can breed a lot of resentment. I know a lot of people, it's starting to breed resentment in their relationships too, where
Yeah.
it's like, well, I had to work 12 hours all day doing all
Oh,
this XYZ and you didn't vacuum or whatever, you know, insert
yeah.
the chore.
That's real as well, for
Hmm.
sure. I also create a little bit of my own resentment in that sense of I don't know if resentment's the word then, but like because I'm at home because I
Yeah.
work from home and my husband's out of the
Yeah.
home,
Okay.
I put a expectation on myself of like this laundry that only you can see
Sure.
that behind
Sure.
me. Like,
Yeah.
why can't I get this done during the day?
Yeah.
Because I'm here and he's not.
Yep.
He does not say that to me. I put that own thought into my head.
Exactly. He probably doesn't even notice.
Yeah. And like,
A fun little announcement for you guys. I've been keeping a secret. I've been building a community behind the scenes called the Rise Sisterhood. And this is where you can go in off of social media. You just literally plug into a community. It's not related to social media. It has so many things to offer you, including just a high vibe area where you can meet other people who are in the same boat as you, who want to connect with you, who want to change their lives, who are empowering each other to make all the differences in their lives. And we have monthly coffee chats, mocktail chats, expert experiences where people come in and teach you their specific healing modality that they are very good at to encourage you to, learn that at home and do it for yourself. And you, of course, get access to a vault where we hold all of the videos as they've happened in the past for you to rewatch over again. And you can do these healing techniques on yourself anytime, anywhere, from your phone, your laptop, whatever is how you can access that community. So to get in and get your steps and just hear more about it, text sisterhood to 707-347-0723.
but then even just the thinking about that,
Yeah.
thinking of like, I mean, obviously it doesn't help that like I'm choosing to put all the undone laundry in my office,
Yeah.
but like just the thought of I'm working, but I should step aside and do this laundry.
Right.
I'm creating this story in my head,
Yeah.
which is like a mental burnout, even though I'm not
Yeah.
physically doing anything with my body.
Exactly. I love that you just brought that up because that's so freaking common. Like with myself too, I notice it all the time. It's just like, why aren't you getting this done? Why aren't you getting this done? And by the time I've run through my entire list, it's like the day's over and I have done nothing.
Yeah. Yeah. A really big thing for me too, with, I guess a little bit more from a business perspective, but we should apply it to our general lives too,
Yeah.
is being realistic about what we put on our to-do list.
So good.
Because so many times, like, let's just say hypothetically, I put 10 things on my to-do list and all of them are going to take an hour. And if you like to work a 7 or 8 hour day,
Right.
you've
Yeah.
literally set yourself up for failure. Like, it's literally not possible to complete all those tasks.
Yeah. I love that. And I think we have that mentality. Like, remember like in high school or college or whatever, it's like you get, you know, you have a paper and you wait till the last minute and it takes you an hour to do it because you only have an hour to do it.
Right.
And I think that so many of us are used to that. Like, I can do it. Like, I can procrastinate to the last minute and then I can get this hour-long task done in 5 minutes. But we really can't. And then you sit there and it takes forever. And then you start stressing out about the next thing and the next thing. And then you're late to your meeting or whatever it is that you have to do next. So I love that you just brought that up. Like, truthfully, putting realistic expectations on ourselves in the first place is a great way to prevent burnout.
Yeah.
Like, honestly, just those kind of couple of tips that we've talked about so far, like utilizing resources, putting less expectations on ourselves, pick up the store-bought brownies. Like, truthfully,
Yes.
it's really going to be like so much better for us in the long run.
Yeah.
Because like life was meant to be enjoyed. You know, I don't know if you saw this, but this is my new thing, that my new rant is I had a patient recently who he was passing and he's like, hey, and he was well over 100 years old.
Oh, wow.
And so he did it, right? He made it. And he's like, can you calculate the days I've been alive? I was like, whoa, I've never heard that one before. Like, yeah, sure, why not? Let's do it.
Yeah.
And it was just over, you know, like 36K or close to 37K days. And at first I was like, wow, like that's such a huge number. But then I was like, wait, that's the number of days. Like, I just wasted a whole day on doing nothing, right? Like, wait, we only get like 36,000 of these if we are lucky. That's such a
You're super
small,
lucky.
yeah,
Yeah.
that is a small number in the grand scheme of things. And just having that realization made me think like, hold on, like if I only have 36,000 of these, why am I wasting one whole day already on like freaking out about this to-do list? Or why am I wasting it on this or that? Like things that stress me out. Like there's no room for that. We can't do that.
Yeah.
Life was meant to be enjoyed.
I think that, gosh, I feel like that's probably one of the hardest struggles of said life then, is the balance between doing the things you have to do and then also giving yourself grace when it is too much and becomes too much.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, I feel like that's always, I'm more aware of it now,
Yeah.
right? Like, God, that it's literally, and again, for women like us who are like, we have podcasts or we have things on the side, it's like there are some days where it's like, okay, to get on and have a conversation, doing a podcast interview
Yeah.
is important and it's going to fill me up. And then there's other days and seasons of life where that would actually serve you to like cancel or reschedule that.
Yes. Yep. I know. I have days like in the past when I overload my schedule too much, I literally will be like refreshing my Instagram, hoping that people are canceling. And then
I
like
love
if it
it.
happens, I'm just like so excited. Um, or I've had a couple, yeah, where it's the same thing. Like I try to cancel and then I'm like, oh no, like, wait, like I can't cancel this one. I've already canceled twice or whatever. And so, yeah, I agree exactly with what you're saying. Like we have so much that we want to do where some days it feels really good and some days it doesn't. So it's about
Yep.
like, you can't predict how you're going to feel,
You
but you
can't.
can start to pay attention to how you've been feeling. And for me, it's like, I know for a fact, if I put more than 3 like interviews or something on my schedule, I'm done for the day. Like I'm out. And then I get grumpy, resentful, mad. Why, you know, like looking at my fiance, like, why are you in bed? Like, why do you get to relax? You know, why do you get to scroll Instagram? I want to do that. So
Yes.
it's about paying attention, like you said.
Yep. And the resentment piece you just brought up again.
Yeah.
I feel that big time. And sometimes it will even be to the sense of So this happened yesterday because Tuesday I was in the hospital unexpectedly. And then I think it was like 4 different scenarios where I needed to like be on Zoom. And I was
Wow.
like, I want to get back into it today, right? Because I feel better. I was like,
Oh,
but 4 feels like a lot.
yeah.
So I canceled 2 of them.
Yeah. Perfect.
But like, and there's no way for you to know.
Exactly.
And
Yeah.
like we were talking about this, I don't remember if we were like on air or off air, but like, you know, with the direction that I'm going to go with either like social
Yeah.
media or like women
Yeah.
empowerment and women entrepreneurship,
Yeah.
I literally in like 30 some days will have a baby.
Yes.
And like I don't know, like is my baby gonna be like super fussy? Is my baby gonna sleep all the time? Like because I
So
can't predict
true.
those things, I literally can't predict what like
Yeah.
life is going to look like. I'm like
Yeah.
July and August is like my control freak self is like not having it because there's nothing I can do.
No. And I love that, like what you said. It's just like you can't predict it. So go with it. Give yourself the grace.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
That's
that's I
huge.
like that too, as far
Yeah.
as give yourself the grace, like ask yourself, do I have any control over this situation?
Yeah.
Because some things we do, like
True.
during COVID, when you were
Yeah.
choosing to work overtime,
Yeah. 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 I didn't have to.
it was a choice, right?
Yep.
And as opposed to maybe the person who's working overtime because like, I don't know, they're like 2 months behind on their mortgage or something,
Right.
right?
Exactly.
Do you have control or do you not have control? And
Right.
then based on your answer to that question, you can based on the answer to that question, you then determine how much grace and or no head down hustle time
Yeah.
you need to give yourself.
See, that's so true. And that also changes, like, I guess it changes the burnout in the moment, like not in the end, but at least in the moment, you're going to feel like so much less burned out. You're like, no, no, no,
Yeah.
I have a reason, I have a goal, I have to do this.
Yeah.
But yeah, I love that. Just paying attention to how you feel, giving yourself the grace when you need to. Like you said, like on Tuesday, you had to go into the doctor, you had to go get checked out. And like you can't beat yourself up for that, right? Like you can't
Yeah.
beat yourself up for missing a meeting or not a meeting, but missing like a workshop and
Right.
not, being able to go. It's like totally fine. That's
Yeah.
life. Yeah.
And like we can't, I mean, what's the other option is you
Yeah.
every day put in your calendar like a 2-hour buffer for
Yeah.
like, here's my 2 hours of nothingness in case something happens.
Yeah. Yep.
Like we
Exactly.
can't really do that.
Mm-mm. And also, what I want to say is I've noticed that when things happen, or maybe I get behind on calls or whatever it is, I let that buffer, like I don't obviously have like a buffer scheduled in, but I have my self-care time scheduled in and I let it eat that. Like I let that become my buffer. So instead of
Always.
just saying like, hey, I can't make this call or I can't cancel this one, for the most part, I will just be like, oh shoot, well, I guess I'm not going to make my workout class. I'm not going to, cook dinner tonight. We're going to get takeout. And honestly, that leads obviously to more burnout, right? Because you're just like not taking care of yourself.
I very much relate to that. I'm
Mhm.
in a program right now where we like are keeping track of our habits.
Mm.
And my coach literally, everybody else is supposed to have 3
Yeah.
habits or 2, 3, 4 during this season of my life. And I'm very appreciative of this. She's like, I want your one and only habit to be a
I love it.
guaranteed 30 minutes of you time every day.
Nice.
And what's sad is how difficult
Yeah.
that is because I
Yeah.
do the exact same thing. Like, let's say maybe, and because I do work from home and have flexibility, let's
Yeah.
say I choose to sleep in 30 minutes.
Yeah.
Okay, well, then everything on my calendar now just got pushed back 30 minutes. And guess what's the one thing I'm going to take out? Not like chatting with you for a podcast for
Right.
30 minutes.
Right.
I'm going to take out 30 minutes that I was going to read or journal.
Yep. Yeah. That's the
So,
problem.
mhm.
The problem is, and I don't know how to fix that because as women, that's like so ingrained. But I do know we have to like be more mindful, be aware of all of that, and start to like make it a non-negotiable. Like
Yes.
this is non-negotiable time. And I'm starting to do that finally. So I just like did my calendar for the next coming month. And I literally was like, okay, this is my workout days. This is my gut
Mhm.
health coaching call. This is my business coaching call. And I like layered it on that way. Like first is my workouts.
You put the
Second is
stuff
my
for you
nutrition.
first.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And then I have a business mentorship. Then I have business calls, like kind of stacking it like that. Because otherwise, I just try to be like, oh, well, where can I fit in the workout? Where can I fit this in? And then you don't. No. And then you feel like crap. So,
I'm really happy that both of us struggle with that and that we're talking about it
yeah.
again with such
Yep.
different, like, me here with, I'm
Yeah.
currently calling it 1.5 kids, you without kids.
Yes.
I live on the East Coast, you live on the West Coast.
Right.
You work in a
So
hospital, I work in
different.
my house, like so
Yeah.
different.
Yeah.
Yet we're both like, when it comes down to what's going to get shoved to the side,
Yep.
it's our stuff, and that's not good.
It's not good. I know. I love this. This is such an amazing conversation because like everybody can take something away from this. Like they can relate to one of us. They can, kind of see that we are both still having these same feelings and that we're struggling with the same things and that we all collectively as women have to start to pay more attention to all of this.
Yeah, 100%. I couldn't agree more.
Mm-hmm. I love it.
Yeah,
So
this
good.
is so exciting.
So good to talk.
I'm super excited to get both of our, I mean, I know that
Yeah.
a little bit of our audiences overlap, but
Yeah.
I'm excited to get feedback. And I just feel like this is one of those conversations or episodes where people are like nodding their head, like, yep,
Yeah.
yep.
That's me. Throw your loofah in the air.
Yes.
If you could tell us first where everybody can find you, and then if you could give us a self-love tip.
Yes. So you can come find me mainly on Instagram. I have a personal account and then I have this community podcast account. My personal is Courtney_Wendzicki. Hopefully that goes in the
I will
show
put
notes.
it in the
'cause
show notes.
Wendzicki is
I
a pain
cannot
to
spell your
spell.
last name.
My self-care tip.
Yes.
I'm probably going to piggyback off of what we were just talking about.
Yeah. Yeah.
And say, like, I don't care if it's 5 minutes or 30 minutes. Do something that literally just you want to do every single day.
So good. Yes.
And here, I'm literally saying this as a mom. It is possible.
Yeah. Love that.
Like, it's possible. Like, you can wake up 5 minutes early. You can go to bed 5 minutes later. You can, you can give the baby to your husband or your spouse or your significant other.
Shout out. Yes.
For 10 minutes.
Yes.
Everybody will be fine.
So good.
So that's mine.
So good.
Okay. Thank you so much.
It was good to see you.
You too.
Bye.
I'm so happy you got to make it to another amazing episode of the Ready to Rise podcast. Don't hesitate to share this with a friend that needs to hear it. Send it straight to their DMs. Take a screenshot, throw it up in your stories, tag me in it at Hello Audrey Rose. And don't forget, if you leave a written review on the iTunes app, that also helps people find it. So if it resonates with you, help others find it. And I can't wait to hear how much you loved this awesome episode. Have a blessed day.